Gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She comes with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Oh my God. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. These are the Night Terrors. These are the shorter format Paranormal Portals, and where we take about an hour and we talk about the paranormal. So that's what we do here, and if you're expecting a different show, you're in the wrong place. Because that's what we do here. Just saying. Hope you guys are having a great day, a great weekend, the last part of your weekend. And as always, thanks for spending a portion of it here with us. That means the world. And just so you know, I'm not actually alone here. I've got my number one son in the wings, just waiting to say hello. So without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Sheldon Thomas.
Hello, one and all.
How you doing?
Doing great.
Good. Well, welcome to our Sunday show. And we got a good one lined up tonight, Sheldon.
Oh, I'm excited.
You should be. Ladies and gentlemen, lately on the show, we've been doing we've been given exclusive access and in some cases early access to videos that are being made and put out there by Wes Germer of Sasquatch Chronicles. And these are the Sasquatch Chronicles shorts. And you can see a bunch of them. Right now he's uploading several a day. The guy's just, he's gone into like production mode and he's spitting them out like Pez. But you can go over to Sasquatch Chronicles page on YouTube and you can check him out over there as well. But he's given us like early access on some of these and it's really a lot of fun. And I hope you guys have been enjoying them. I know I've been really enjoying them. I'm just fascinated. Now what he's done is he's taken, some of the historical interviews and he's trimming them down and just putting the interview itself with the person telling what they experienced on a video format with some great animated backgrounds and really cool scenes that really captivate you and draw you into the experience. But these are some of the most profound encounters that people have had. And so he's creating this collection of shorts that are showcasing these, and they are so powerful. Now, tonight, just so you know, we're going to show a couple of them. Full disclosure, one of them is really hard to listen to because you have to walk in the footsteps of the guy that lived it. And he really had a very brutal childhood. And he does go into some details. So my caution, my word of warning to all of you guys out there listening, if you're sensitive to that kind of stuff, if that is too hard for you to listen to, you may not want to listen to the show. But unfortunately, that's a fact of our world. It happens. And it's certainly a tragedy and a terrible, horrible thing. But he obviously came through it pretty darn well. The guy's a survivor. And he has an incredible encounter story that ties into all of this. And I'm not going to give too much of it away, but let me just tell you that it's like, it was, I don't know. All I will tell you is that what Wes told me is this was the first interview he did where he walked away from it thinking, maybe these things aren't just monsters. And so I'll just leave that there. But this is the first interview that Wes did that left him with the impression like maybe they're not just all horrible, because most of people's experiences are very terrifying and horrendous, but in this case, not so much. So that's all I'm going to say, and then we're going to get into another one that has to do with some terror on a job site. So, but that's what's on the roster tonight. I hope you guys are really amped up for it. I'm really excited because it's really cool to have this opportunity to present these to you guys. And if you're not familiar with Sasquatch Chronicles, you must have been raised in a cave. But you got to go check it out on YouTube, youtube.com/Sasquatch Chronicles. And if you're not subscribed over there, get subscribed because he's been doing, several of these videos a day. It's really incredible. He's just really pumping them out. I feel like I got a pretty good work ethic for the show, but he's really shaming me right now. I can't believe all.
He's doing you.
Easily. He's putting out like 5 shows to my 1. It's like, what the hell? But anyway, check it out. That's what we're going to be getting in tonight. So without further ado, all I can tell you is I hope you all are ready because it's time for bed.
I'm gonna leave a lot of the personal details out from why I got to northern Minnesota and Willow River, simply because the names have been changed to protect the guilty at this point. I grew up in just outside of the Twin Cities in Minnesota. Large family. When I was a young guy, having some serious abuse situations happening to me, and I'm what you call a runner. Some people are fighters, and I guess at that age, I couldn't beat the people that were beating me, and so I ran. So my parents were too busy to deal with a runner, having come and fetched me from a few far places that I could hitchhike to when I was 7 years old or whatever. Long and short, they had the authorities in the Twin Cities, they filed what they call incorrigible papers on you, and they put you in jail. One of the times that the cops had found me after running away, they put me in this juvenile detention center and waited for somebody. Now, back in the 70s, this is like 72, 73, I think, and they would put people in, put young boys that were having problems with the law. They try to cut that problem short by getting them out of the city and getting them into some type of a group home is what they called them, or foster homes. Get them out of the city before they cause any more problems or end up in prison. Their intentions were good, but they really didn't check into the people very well they were putting kids with. Long and short, I had a gentleman by the name of Don come and fetch me out of the juvenile detention prison they had me in, and brought me up to northern Minnesota outside of Willow River. It's west of Willow River quite a ways. I think it's Finlandson or somewhere in that neighborhood. I was put up there with 3 other boys that were brothers. They were from the Twin Cities also, had some problems with the law, and so because all 3 of them had problems, they just sent all 3 of them together. So it ended up being the 4 of us there. From going from where I was is like somebody taking me from the fat to the fire, or from the frying pan to the fire, or whatever, because this guy was insane. He was amazingly physically abusive to both animals and to people. The best way I can describe him is, if somebody needs a visual, is Clint Eastwood in Heartbreak Ridge. Tall, lean, muscular, angry, cocky, belligerent, flat top haircut, gray hair. That was him. If you can picture that, that's the guy. His name was Don. He had a farm. He had about 80 milking cows, about 200 head of steers. He had sheep. He had pigs. You know, it's a farm. In the early 70s, pretty representative of what was around that area at the time. And so at first, it was, you know, at first I thought this is going to be pretty good. I'm with three other guys. They weren't all my ages. Actually, the youngest of those three boys was my age, and the oldest was just about 18, and I was 12, I think, 11 or 12 or something in that neighborhood. I have a real hard time with a lot of these memories because I have these big black holes in my memories from really traumatic things that happened in my life. And when I was about 15, I didn't remember any of it. And as I got older, things started to just pop in my head, and the things that I couldn't really believe was it. Over the course of about 5 years, all of the memories came back, and there's a lot of different kind of monsters out there, and I think I met most of them. The only reason that I'm telling about the abuse is because it happened out in the public, or happened in and outside of this guy's barn. And I'll just briefly tell, again, the story that I just told you about the cows, just to give you an idea what kind of things he did around that farm on a daily basis. This guy had he was some type of a commander or something in the Army, where he trained troops. You go to boot camp or whatever, he was one of them guys, a CO or something. So he's one of those loud, big, demanding guys. And I don't know why, but he just seemed to he just hated, I don't know if he just hated animals or he just had no idea how to take care of them or what, but he was so hard on his animals. He had all these milking cows, and he'd run these 80 cows in, and I don't know how many people understand farms or farms back in the 70s, but I had no experience with this kind of a farm, but I learned real quick. Cows come in, they know where to go, they go in their stanchions, you click the stanchions down, holding their neck, they sit in a row on each side of the inside of the barn, and right behind them is the gutter, right under their butts, so when they crap, it goes right in there. And they had a vacuum line. It was a vacuum milking system that had these pots. They were stainless steel pots that had the udder, I don't know what you call them, suckers or whatever. And they would take this belt, and they would throw it over the back of the cow, and it had these grommets on it, like a belt that you wear around your waist, and it had like a metal loop on the bottom of it. You stick it over the cow, and you stick the loop, you hook it onto the grommet on it to adjust to each cow, and you'd wipe out the nipples, and you'd put this vacuum line from there on in front of the cow, and you'd turn it on, and suck, it fills up with milk. I think it's about 3 or 4 gallons or something. Anyway, this guy, he was psychotic. It's the only way I can describe it. He's psychotic. I'm standing there, 11-year-old boy, watching what he's doing, learning what he's doing, and because anything he did, you pay attention to this because you're going to be doing this tomorrow, kind of a thing. And he'd walk down with that thing in his hand, the milking thing in his hand, machine, and he'd say, "Over, Jane," and he'd hit this cow on, let's say he walks up to 2 cows, and he hits the one on the left. He says, "Over, Jane," and he hits the cow in the ass. If that cow don't right now take a step to the left so that he can get between the 2 cows, put that vacuum line on, that cow's in for some serious shit. Excuse me. Well, of course, cows don't know. They don't know nothing. All they know is there's grain in front of them when they lock them in the stanchion. Is there grain here? Then they're fine. But he goes, "Over, Jane." Cow doesn't move over. "Over, Jane." He hits it hard. The cow now is kind of freaking out a little bit, taking some extra steps. It doesn't know what's up. He goes, "Get over," and he hits this cow, and the cow doesn't know what to do. He's freaking out. He's locked. His neck is locked in the stanchion. He's sliding around on the crap that's underneath him, and when cows get upset, they shit. I said it again, sorry. The cows get upset,
no,
they crap. And then underneath their hooves, it's all slippery now because they're freaking out. He gets all upset, and he thinks this cow is purposely trying to screw with his day or something. Anyway, so he smacks the cow, kicks the cow, pushes the cow. Now the cow's freaking out, and it's mooing, and he's kneeing the cow in the belly, and the cow's not moving over, or it moves over, or moves back, or it moves against him, and oh God, that was the end of it. If that cow moved the other way and bumped into him, that was it. throws the milking thing down on the ground, goes back and gets a pitchfork, comes back with a pitchfork, starts stabbing this cow in the ass. I mean, on the side of his ass, on the top side of the cow. Move over! Wham, wham, wham! And this cow is freaking out. This cow is freaking screaming. And it's falling down, and it's running around. It's trying to get out. It's trying to escape this madness. I'm standing there watching it, and my jaw is hanging open. I don't understand this. I don't understand this. Why is this guy doing this? And the cow doesn't know what to do. It's freaking out. He's pulling the pitchfork back out, and the blood is squirting everywhere. And the cow, of course, he's not going to stand there quietly and wait for you to milk him. Now it's freaking out. It's gone totally berserk. Oh, now the cow's starting to kick at him, trying to get the badness away from him. Oh, God, the cow's kicking me now? Oh, you, sorry, son of a, he goes and he gets a rope, and he ties a rope to that cow's leg, and he goes across the alley or the gutter or whatever to the pole on the other side, and he runs that pole around there and cranks it tight until that cow's leg is sticking straight out behind him. And the cow is freaking out. It's falling down. It's getting up. It's moving. It's about to break the whole barn down. And he's doing all of this because what? Because he wants to milk the cow. I don't think the milk will be any good anymore. Anyway, he finally gets the cow where it's so exhausted it can't hardly even stand. And then he comes in there and puts the thing on and milks the cow. The cow is just, freaking out and panting. And so he does this. That's one cow. Now, he'll go down to the next cow and start the same crap all over again. Or, the other cows, I know cows are stupid, but the other cows, they know something bad's coming. And they don't even know enough to move. They don't know what the hell the party's about. But he does this after 2 or 3 cows. And then this happened regularly. This didn't happen once. This happened all the time. This happened 4 times a week. And after seeing this, I hadn't been there very long, but after seeing this, about the 3rd cow, before that 2nd cow, he told me, he turns around and sees me standing there. He says, get the hell out of here and go and clean the sheep shed or something. I don't be standing there watching me, kind of a thing. And I'm in the sheep shed, and I hear these cows mooing and screaming and wailing. I come back out. It's like I had enough. I just broke. I just had enough. And I came back out, and I yelled at him. I said, I can't say what I actually said. But I said, you really think you're a big shot? You really think you're a tough guy doing this to cows? Do it to me. Come on, do it to me. You think you're real tough taking a cow who's tied up, beating on him? Come and get me. Oh, well, do you want trouble? Say that to him. Challenge him. Oh, he chased me all around that barn for 10 minutes. He finally caught me, and he tied me to a pole, and he poked me with a pitchfork, and he whipped me with the milking straps until the grommets made me bleed. And if you don't believe it, you can check my back. It's full of scars. Anyway, that was one day. I was there for 10 months. We would be out and this is the part that's connected to the Bigfoot thing. I know people are going, well, what's this got to do with Bigfoot? What it has to do with is, that's one behavior that happened in the barn. But this kind of behavior with him, the yelling and hitting me and dragging me around and knocking me down and punching me, and this stuff went on every day out in the farm, in the barnyard, in the sheep shed, in the whatever. It could happen while we're putting a fence up right out in the middle of the barnyard. It could happen on a tractor. He's knocked me off a tractor so many times I can't even tell you. And I'm surprised that I wasn't run over many times. But he'd knock me right off the tractor, just smack me right off it while I was going down the trail if I shifted wrong or something. Anyway, my point is that there was a lot of abuse and things and torture that were happening to me out in this farmyard. Where if anybody, just anybody, I mean, even the neighbor guy, his name was Gus, nice old man. He had the only other farm around. There was a couple of times that him and his wife would come over with like pies or something that they made because they felt so sorry for us kids. And Don would he'd chase them out of there. Get the hell out of here, you damn crap! These kids don't deserve nothing. Get out of here. They came over because they felt sorry because they could hear us screaming from their house, which was a quarter of a mile away across the field. Anyway. I think that this, I don't know what Sasquatch I know now, at the time I called it a monster, but I think that it had been around. I think it heard these cries. I think it had been hearing it all along. That's my only assumption of why it even approached me. Anyway, so I told you that story, so I can tell you this one. I'm a runner. I told you that already. Because I don't think that people should be treated that way, children or adult. And so I would run. I was a pretty good runner. I could run a long way. After about 8 months of this crap going on, I could talk these stories for 3 hours. I won't. We Well, I'll back up. Before this actual, when I saw the creature, I was out. There's a big, huge raspberry patches that are wild raspberries that were alongside of this tractor trail that we would take through the woods that went from one field to another field that he bought. We called it the back 40, and we'd go and we'd bale hay back there. Anyway, a lot of times he would take the tractor full of hay and he'd make us walk. It's about a mile through there. Ain't no big deal for young kids, but. And we'd always stop. He had a sight, and then we'd quickly stop at the raspberry patch, and we'd sit and pick raspberries. One of the times, I was coming back alone, and I saw these raspberries. Nobody's around. I can sit and pick raspberries and eat them. I was always hungry. And I'm eating these raspberries, and I was there by myself. I just stopped and started picking these raspberries, and I heard something moving on, I suppose 20, 30, 25 feet from me. The raspberry patch was humongous. It's huge. And I heard something moving in there. I thought maybe it was a bear. I don't even know if there are bear up there. I assume that there is. But I heard something, and it made this noise, just like a hoof. But so low, though, that it didn't sound like a bear to me, but it sounded huge. Enough that it scared the hell out of me. I was feeling nauseous. I got up, and it took off. Just kind of dropped the berries and took off. And started running down the trail. Now, the right side of the trail is field. It's the front 40 that we bail, and on the left side of the little trail is all woods. And I'm running back to the farm on this trail, and I can hear something, whatever that was now running alongside of me, but far enough into the thick trees that I couldn't see what it was. I just see something was running alongside of me. I kept running, and I stopped for a second thinking, maybe it's the other guys. Maybe it was them all along. Maybe the guys didn't stay there with the wagon and wait for the trailer to come back again or whatever. He'd do several, it's farming. I thought maybe those guys were sneaking behind me and they're just trying to mess with me. So I stopped for a second to see if I could see who it was. When I stopped, the noise stopped. And I started running again, and you could hear the noise again. And it's just like clump, 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 smash, crack. You could hear it just cracking, breaking through trees or branches or whatever. I stopped again, and it stopped. There's no noise. Once I yelled, I said, "Come on, you guys!" And I realized there's nobody around because they would have said something. Bam! I took off running. I didn't slow down until I got back to the farm. Never said nothing to anybody, other than once I asked one of the other kids there. I said, "Were you guys out by the berry patch that day on Tuesday or whatever?" No, we weren't out there. We were sitting there having a smoke, whatever. So that was that time. Something was there. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was a bear, but I'm going to assume that it wasn't, knowing what I know now. Okay, so I told you all that so I could get to, let's see. I started running away from there. He'd abuse me, and I would run away. And we lived on this dirt road that there was only one other farm, and that's the one I mentioned earlier. That's Gus's place. Otherwise, there was no other farms, nowhere, either direction, as far as I knew. You'd get in the car, and you'd ride from town for about a half an hour, it seemed like. And then when you turned on to his road, it was a gravel road, straight, nothing, just nothing but woods and swamps on either side. And, it seemed like it was 6 or 8 miles till you get to his farm. So when I would run away, well, going out the driveway to the left would mean, I assume now, to Finlandson, which I didn't have a clue what that meant because we never went that way driving. We always went the other way. So I would just start running up the road to the right. And I'd run and run and run, and I always looked to see where I could get off of the road because it wouldn't take long. He always had an eye on me, and it wouldn't take long for him to figure out that I was gone. And when he did, he'd look around and he'd say, "Where's Tommy?" He thought he was up in the garden. I don't know where he is. He'd jump in his old LTD, 67 LTD, that just stunk like a cow pie inside. It just annoyed me how much it stunk, and it's because he always was in it with his cow clothes, Anyway, he'd always come looking for me. He'd always catch me. It happens all the time. It happened, 6, 8 times. I would run down the road. I'd hear his car coming. You couldn't see it yet. You could just hear it coming. And I would jump off the road, but there's swamps on both sides of the road. Now I've checked a map recently. Now that area's changed a lot. Maybe it was high that year or something. I don't know. But there's not swamps like that anymore. But this is 45 years ago. So anyway, I would jump off, and I would try to just kind of hide alongside the road. It was really easy to see it because there's nothing but, the road, some swamp, and then nothing but thick woods on the other side of that. And I'd duck down. He'd go by. You'd hear the brakes. He'd jump out and yell and scream and smack me around. And he'd grab a length of rope out of his trunk, and he'd tie my wrist to it, and he'd tie the length of rope to his trailer hitch, and he'd start driving me back. And he'd make me run behind the car. Well, I just ran 2.5 miles or so. I'm exhausted. He hooked me up to it. I could only run so far, and eventually I'd fall, and I'd be yelling, screaming, stop, stop. He would stop. He'd drag me all the way back home. I got scars to show you that, too. Anyway, so this happened many times, 6, 8 times, like I said. And I'm starting to get a little smarter, or I'm thinking I'm smarter. I'm not any smarter. I'm a little kid. I'm scared. I'm trying to get away, and I don't know what else to do. So I run. But this last time that I ran, second to the last time that I ran, I should back up just a little bit. Couple of those times when I was running up that road, I could hear noises from the woods, which I'm not good with yards. I'm better with feet. I would say it's, I don't know, 500 feet, let's say, 500 feet to the woods. But between the road and the woods is swamp, mucky, thick swamp with reeds and cattails and the whole 9 yards. And I could hear something in those woods every once in a while I just had a bad feeling. Every time I ran up this road, I'd get by the certain area where the second farmer, Gus's property ended, and then it was all thick woods all the way up to the highway, which is, 6-7 miles. Anyway, that bunch of woods on the right side as I'm going north, always just had a bad feeling, weird noises coming out of it. Now I realize that they were whoops, and there were grunts, there were howls, different things that I would hear different times when I was running up that road. I just thought it was, whatever, animals make those noises, so I just would keep running. But anyway, fun time I'm running up the road, and I see the swamp, and I see the woods on the other side of the swamp, and I hear Don's car coming, and I go, damn it, he caught me already. And I jump down into the weed, off the side of the road, into the ditch like I've done several times before. And he always catches me, always sees me in the ditch. For some reason that day he didn't see me. Maybe he was looking out the other side or something. But he went by. I started running in through the swamp, hoping I could get to the woods. I figured if I get to the woods, he can't see me. I could take the woods all the way up to the main highway. I had a friend that lived on the corner of his street and the main highway, which I figured was 6 miles, 8 miles, something like that. I figured I could get to my friend's house. He had a real nice mom, and she was a single mother, trying to take good care of her kids. And there was a few times that I had run away that I got almost to their house, and I always thought if I could get to their house, if I could just get to their house, I could get some help. Anyway, I jump into these. I hear his car coming. I jump in the ditch. He goes by. I continue going through the swamp, and I realized pretty quick that it's really mucky underneath of the water. I thought it was, I don't know, I just didn't realize what I was getting into. I start going into the swamp, and the further and further I get, the worse it is. The more thick the muck is underneath of the water, and it's like I'm stepping in, and it's pushing, the muck's going all the way up, like past my knees. And I'm wearing these, what they call back then were called duck boots. They're green boots with a yellow line around the bottom of them. Probably people think they're popular now, but back then we called them duck boots, and we hated them. But they were like knee-high for working on farms. I start struggling, I'm having a hell of a time getting each foot out of the muck and into the next step, but I knew I got to get across these woods. I'm about, I would say, 3/4 of the way across the swampy area, and I'm into where the thick cattails are, and I'm really panicking now because I don't think I'm going to make it. I mean, now the water is up to my chest, the muck is up to my knees, and I'm getting so tired that I can't get my feet, each step I can't get my feet out of this muck. It's like it's sucking them in. And I keep going, I'm struggling, and now I'm starting to freak out because the water's getting up to my neck. And I don't know how to explain this, but if you push down with one foot, just pull the other foot out of the muck, the first foot is going in deeper. You end up digging yourself a hole, basically, is what you're doing. And of course, I'm just panicking, and I'm getting swamp water in my mouth, and I'm trying to get through, and I start crying. I start screaming and crying because I think I'm going to drown now because I'm getting to where if I stop, it sinks. And if I keep struggling, I kind of get moving a little more, but at least I can keep my chin above the water. And then I find a little clump of cattails or something. I'd be grabbing them and pulling them toward me, pull my feet out of the muck underneath. Anyway, I'm right into all that. I'm panicking. I'm freaking out. I don't think I can do this any longer. I don't think I'm going to be able to stay afloat. I honestly think I'm going to drown right where I am. And all of a sudden from the woods, which are now, I would say, I don't know, 50 feet, 30 yards. I don't know. Not too much farther. I would say there was the swamp went right up to the edge of the woods. So I would say there was probably 75 feet, whatever that is in yards, 30 yards, whatever. And I hear this crash, bash, crash coming through the woods. I'm not sure what I'm thinking. I don't know what I'm hearing, but I'm thinking this is bad because I can't even run. And it just crash, crash, crash. Right away, this happened really fast. Just bang, crash, crash. And out of the woods comes this freaking monster. It's huge. It was huge. It was as wide as the barn door. I mean, not kidding. It was huge. It come out, splash, 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 and it jumps. It walks through that swamp like it was 3 inches thick. It just walked right out to me. And I'm watching it. It gets close to me, and I see it coming, and it's huge. It was like dark brown with lighter brown hair, not fur but hair, and it was long and straggly, like a ghillie suit or something. It was long. It was dirty, and the hair on the top, the top hair was lighter, like a lighter brown, like it had been sun bleached or something. But all the hair underneath was real dark. And it comes out, and it's got breasts. It's a female. It's the first thing I noticed. The thing had breasts, but it was a monster. As far as I'm concerned, it's a monster. And I see it, and it's stomping out towards me, and it had this look on its face like it was like I'm done, like it was going to eat me or whatever. It was not good. Whatever it was and what was coming at me, I panicked, and I turned. Now I'm trying to go back to the road, and I'm stuck. I can't move. I stopped long enough to see what the hell's coming at me, long enough for me to sink in this muck, and I can't get out of it. And now the water's right up to my chin, and I'm choking, and I'm screaming and yelling, and I'm not saying anything, just screaming. And I turned, and I struggled so hard I pulled the boots off. I pulled hard on that the boot came off, and I got another step, and I pulled the boot up, and I got another step. Now I got nothing to help me. It's like I sunk even faster. Without the boots on, I went right into it. By that time, I'm seeing this shadow coming up behind me, and the noise, and comes up behind me, and I just put my hands over my head and cowered down, expecting to be, killed. And this thing just stops right next to me, and I could smell it. God, it was the worst smell. It's still the worst. My dad owned a garbage company, to tell you. I know what bad smells are. The worst. That was the worst smell I ever smelled in my whole life since then, even since then. To me, how to describe that, dead skunks waiting in a pile of dog crap after they vomited on it. I don't know. It's just a really bad smell. It's standing right behind me. I didn't even turn to look anymore. I got my hands over my head, and I'm soaking wet. I'm sinking, and I'm starting to spit and cough out the swamp water, the little green things that are in the swamp. And the thing just reaches out and grabs the back of my jacket right behind my neck, and reaches and pulls me right up out of right up out of the water. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately. This is how you can describe it. This thing grabbed me, and it's holding me out in front of it. And only thing I can think of is when I was a kid, we used to have puppies and stuff, and or rabbits or something. They always say, grab a rabbit by the back of the neck there. They're just fine with that. They don't have a problem with that. That's what I felt like. I felt like I was the size of a rabbit to a human. I mean, this thing was huge. It just grabbed me and pulled me right up out of the water and starts walking towards the road that I just came from. I'm screaming. I'm swinging my arms, and I'm hitting the arm that's trying to hold me, or that is holding me. I'm hitting this arm, and it's wet, and it's stinky, and it's strong, and I'm just going to call it she. Stomp, 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 stomp. Goes right back through the swamp the same way I came, and gets to the edge of the road, and just drops me down, soaking wet, into the mud puddle that's kind of like the edge of the ditches are all water too, and just drops me down in the ditch. And just stands there and stares at me. And I'm screaming, and I'm crying, and I'm cowering, and what do you do when you see a monster? I saw monsters in the movies. I've seen a Wolfman. I've seen Frankenstein. I don't know what this is, and I didn't think monsters were real. I thought they were only in the movies. So I'm really kind of in some kind of a shock or something, because I'm just freaking out. I'm screaming. It's basically what I'm doing. I'm screaming. I'm screaming. And it doesn't do anything. It's just standing there. It just threw me down and standing there looking at me. And I'm not looking at it. I'm looking at the ground. I'm not really looking at anything. I had my hands over my head, and I've got my face down. I'm waiting for it to just freaking pounce on me or something. It doesn't. Nothing's happening. It's just standing there. I can just hear it going. It took like these breaths that were like 10 times my breath. It seemed like it never stopped exhaling. And it was just standing there. And all of a sudden, everything just got really quiet. And it's like I'm going, okay, you're not going to kill me or what? And so I stopped screaming. I turned around and I looked at it. And it's a hard part to talk about. I don't know. It's a monster. It's brown hair, gray skin. The first thing I thought of was, for some reason, somewhere I saw a picture of or a movie of the circus freak, the lady with the beard, the bearded lady. That's the first thing I thought of. Was it's a woman. She's got breasts, but it's not a woman. It's a monster. It's got long hair coming right from below its eyes all the way down off of its face. Nose didn't have hair on it. The hair, like, had a receding hairline. Its hair didn't come like all its eyebrows, which were huge, but the forehead was larger than most and went back from there. But its hair was dirty and it had piece of branches, keep in mud and crap in it. It was dirty, and it's like his mouth is in the wrong place. Her mouth is lower, like from your nose to your chin. There's a lot of more distance there, and it was just huge. It didn't growl. It didn't speak. It did nothing. It just looked at me, and it looked like it's kind of hard to explain, but it looked at me like with sympathy. I don't know if that makes any sense coming from a monster. I mean, you don't look at a dog and see sympathy or something.
Yeah.
But that thing looked at me with these angry eyes, and at the same time, it was kind of cocked its head a little bit to the side and looked at me, and I don't know, it just looked at me, and I thought, it's like I saw it like, okay, you're not going to kill me then. And then about that time, this is all went by in like seconds, but about the time, I heard the gravel of Don's car coming from a mile away or something. You could just hear it. When you're out in the country on a gravel road and you're standing there and it's nice and quiet, you can hear a car coming from a mile and a half away. You can hear the car coming. He had turned around and started coming back. This thing heard it about the same time. Oh, and I think she heard it before I did, because she turned her head, looked up the road, and turned back again, looked at me, turned, and just bolted. Didn't run, just walked fast. Right back through exactly where I just came from, same trail that we took, same one that I took out. Walked right down, went into the woods, gone. You could hear crash, more crash. I was laying there in a ditch, and about, 20, 30 seconds later, Don rolls up, slams on the brakes, takes one look at me, and starts cussing. I can't use those words on your show. I'll abbreviate them. What the happened? What the hell are you doing? You sorry son. What the hell? Why are you all wet? What did you stink? Where the hell are your shoes? Get the hell up here! And now I'm crying again. And he said, I wouldn't even put you in my car. You're such a goddamn mess. He grabs his keys this time. I don't know, maybe he didn't have his rope. I kind of looking at him, he grabbed his keys. So I'm standing there all wet going, oh, no drag today? He grabs the keys and he opens his trunk. He goes, get your ass in there. And he throws me in the trunk. He shuts the door and drives us back to the farm. As we get back to the farm, and it's I don't know what it is, 5, 6 o'clock. So sun's starting to go down or whatever at that time. But anyway, he take all that crap up and throw it down there and take all my clothes off. I'm down to nothing. You try to leave your underwear on, or he says take all your clothes off and you leave your underwear on, you might as well have a jacket on. Anyway, take all your clothes off. Took all my clothes. They stunk. You could really smell. It's like I was rolling around in skunks or something. It was bad. He had me take all my stuff off, and they had this old bathtub, an old cast iron bathtub that they had. They didn't have an indoor. They don't have indoor plumbing. This is a farm, right? You take crap in an outhouse. They made us do all that, but they had indoor plumbing. They had a shower and a toilet in the basement that they had put in. recently, but we couldn't use it. We had to use the outhouse. We had to bring buckets of water, 5-gallon buckets of water out from the hand crank well, and pour it into this cast iron bathtub, and that's where we took our baths. And he made me do that, of course. Threw me a bar soap, get stuff cleaned up, and they made me. I couldn't get that smell out of the jacket. I just could not get it out, no matter what I did. Finally made me throw it away. He was really pissed about that too. Well, he thought that was the worst thing he could ever done, is throw a jacket away, a perfectly good jacket, just because it smelled. That was the worst thing he could ever do. Anyway, long short of it is that that's what happened there.
Wow. How's that for a story, though? I mean, my God. So,
Wow.
what do you think, Sheldon?
I was completely immersed into that story.
Yeah.
Just like you would if you were reading a book, but that's probably, that's probably my favorite Bigfoot story that I've ever heard. And the reason being, it's that compassion. And in a way, it's kind of like a little bit of light in his dark life, you know?
Right. He got to be a part of something that, most people will never understand. So even in all that darkness, like you said, I think that's a good point. Again, it's hard to listen to because you can see that the pain is still with him, and the frustration and the humiliation of all of that. But my hat goes off to the guy, that he persevered through all of that and still, went on to, be able to share that story with all of us out here. And what a cool story. What a heartbreaker, but what a cool story. And it's like, and again, what Wes said, this is the first interview I ever did where I walked away thinking maybe they're not just monsters. And that's pretty cool because it does show us a different side, that most people won't ever witness. I mean, just seeing one alone is rare enough, but to see one and then have that display of compassion, it does speak to the intelligence of these beings and what they're capable of. And I think that's really, really amazing. The Agony of One Child Weeping is the book. It's on Amazon. The Agony of One Child's Weeping is the book title. It's on Amazon. Give me a minute trying to remember the name. I don't know if he would. He did Sasquatch Chronicles, wrote a book, and now he likes to be private. His health isn't the best anymore either. Yeah, I bet. The guy had a hard life, but it's so amazing that he put that out there for all of us again. So, again, special thanks to Wes Germer for letting us showcase that. That's not even posted live. That's a private links right now because he said, "Do you wanna premiere it?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course, I'd like that." So, that's what we did, and thanks for that, Wes. Now the next one is another great one. So, and let's get to that one now. I hope you're ready. You ready, Sheldon?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Sheldon's ready. So let's go to the next one here. If I can figure out what the hell I'm doing. I got to organize my tiles a little better. But anyway, here we go.
Well, I was working, operating a heavy machinery that is stationary, and it consists of a bunch of pipes and pumps that make a whole heck of a lot of noise. And, it's inside of we contained it inside of what I believe to be a sea train. It's like a big metal box used for storage. Mostly you see them on freight trains and stuff, but that's what we had this machine in, and it was bottomless because we were going into the ground, but that's besides the fact. And I worked graveyard shifts from probably about 9 o'clock at night to 9 in the morning. And this particular night wasn't the first, I guess, that I denied the first thing that kind of happened. And I think I talked a little bit about that to you yesterday. And it involved one of the guys that I did work with quitting. And he didn't give us really any reason why. And I just thought we had kind of spotted a mountain lion. Something had ran past me that was pretty damn big and on all fours. And we kind of used this thermal scope I have to spot it. And I thought it was a mountain lion because we had tracks all over and it was stalking the camp. And he swore different. And he didn't say what he thought it was. He pretty much quit. So back to that night, I'm working and it's really late. And, I'm kind of the workaholic type, and I just stay on the ball because you have to. And I was just working away, and, all the noises in the world were happening with this machine. And it was a rainy night, not like downpour, but raining. It was wet out, and it was windy. And I'm hearing things hit this metal wall, of the C train, which is directly to my back, which I have to face the machine. So my back is always to this wall, which is actually facing a mountain that comes straight down to it, which is all forest. It's not developed at all. And the whole property is not really developed at all, except for the little flat that we're on with a driveway that goes out to the road. And I'm hearing it. And I kind of stop, and I'm like, wait, like, what is that? And I kind of just shook it off, and I wasn't hearing it anymore. And so I just went back to work, and, some time passed, and then I started hearing it again. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's loud. And I'm thinking that it's trees with nuts or something falling on the trailer. And I'm kind of thinking in my head, like, how's it hitting the wall? And why is it not landing on top of it? I just, like I'm saying, I was just writing everything I was hearing off until I hear something big hit. Just boom, hard, loud, scared the bejesus out of me. And there was no denying that. And I thought someone threw something at it, or I like I said, I was kind of writing it all off, and I decided I'm going to shut the machine down and take my lunch and have a smoke and do whatever else. And I kind of went about 2 hours not taking my lunch, and so I just kind of shut it down, and kind of I was actually having a chuckle about it. I remember I was kind of like laughing like that, man, that scared the crap out of me. Wow. I wasn't even entertaining what it might have been. And I walk over to we have this C train that we work in, and then there's a motorhome for employees to sit down and have a break. And we had like a TV with like a DVD player in there, but I never used it. And, I just kind of grabbed my smokes, and I remember walking up to the trailer and thinking, why is the door open? And I'm kind of thinking, like, I know that it's raining, and I know I always shut this door, and I don't know why this door is open. And I go to like light up a smoke, and I look back at the pump room, which is the C train, and right next to it, I would say about 10 feet off the trailer is where the trees begin. And I'm about 40 yards away from that, maybe less. But next to this big oak tree that's pretty much dead, I see this big black mass. And I'm looking at it for a second, and I'm thinking, man, and it sounds crazy, but somehow in the rain and in all the darkness, it was darker. I was like, what the hell? Wow, like what is that? And I'm noticing that whatever's up against it has kind of, I can tell it's like hugging the tree with its like right arm. And I'm like, what is this? And I was like, is this a bear? This is a bear. And I don't really remember what happened to my cigarette. I was thinking about that yesterday. I don't remember what I did with the damn cigarette, but I remember right when I saw it and I got that thought process through, it dropped its arm and it started moving. Like, the way best I could describe it is when like a cheetah or like a lion is really close to something and they're moving really slow and they're about to break into the dead sprint to catch whatever it is they're catching. It was very much like that, moving very slow, and it's all dead branches. We cut them all down because they were hanging over everywhere, and they were falling during the rain, and so we decided to cut them down. And it's stepping on them, and I'm not hearing anything. I mean, I'm hearing, like, it went dead silent. Just, I almost think the rain stopped, but right as exactly as that's happening, I'm going for this crossbow that we have on a rack right next to the front door because of this mountain lion that's kind of been all around the camp and in the shop area. And I pick it up and I get it in my trigger right hand. I put my hand under it, and right when that happened, this rock comes flying from my direct, I want to say 3 o'clock, and comes flying in. A big, almost, I want to say baseball size rock, boom, and it lands right in front of me, and it shoots under the motorhome, and now this thing is closing the gap, and I drop the crossbow, and that's when, like, I could no longer really, I want to say I was writing this whole situation off in my head. Like, nothing was serious to me until that rock hit my right in front of me, and then I knew there was more than one of these things, whatever it was, and I couldn't make out its face. I couldn't make out from whatever was kind of up above, maybe abdomen level, but the light from our from the pump room was kind of casting his lower half, and like I told you yesterday, I could tell it was a he. I could tell it was really dark, and I want to say that it thought that I couldn't see it because that's how it was moving. It was moving like it was going to sneak up on me, but I knew it was there, and I knew that this was happening, and I was like, I remember like starting to scream, like, oh, I heard this call on your show. It's this elderly man. He's calling in and he's reporting, and he does this like random scream. And when he did that, it made my heart drop because that's what I was doing. I know that I was like talking out loud, and I was like, yeah, yeah, I know that feeling where it's like things were so surreal and so quiet, and I had this strange feeling that I was surrounded. And I remember running to my car, getting in my car. Something definitely hits my back. I guess it was my driver's side, my back door of my little car. Whatever it was really dented my door. Later on I saw it, but things were being thrown, and I wasn't hearing what I heard later, but I don't want to like put it on like it was like monkeys chattering in a cage or anything, but it was like this, like these strange barking, whooping type. I don't know. It was crashing in these strange, like weird bark, like fast. They're whatever they were making noise vocally, but the things crashing is what kind of scared the crap out of me. And I thought that they were going to like come. So I get my car in first. I'm screaming whatever obscenities and whatever else. I get out of there. I turn, I hit this driveway that is just a muddy mess. And it's a cliff pretty much. And it's like a big horseshoe. And you got to pull around down to this gate that you have to unlock. It's a combination lock gate. And we always spun the numbers, which in retrospect really sucked. And, and I am sweating talking about this. I was sweating yesterday when I was talking to you about it. I'm sweating now. Oh, man. So I'm thinking about driving through the fence. I remember thinking that. And I remember screaming out loud some profanity like, F, I'm not going to make it. And I remember getting out, putting my e-brake on, and I put my car in neutral and I pulled right up to the gate. And I remember spinning the numbers, unlock and lock, pulling the chain, kicking the gate open, and I'm frantic. I'm totally frantic. And I turn around, I'm right up against the hood of my car. That's how close I pulled to the gate that I didn't even almost have room to reach the lock. I squoze in to do it. And I remember turning around and just seeing this one big red dot behind this tree. And this one that's standing there makes the one, I mean, I guess I can't really gauge how big the other one was. I'm going to say there's no way it was under 7 foot. But this one was absolutely ridiculous large. Yeah, when I saw it, I screamed. I remember screaming the instant I focused in on my brake lights, seeing it, how close it was, and its posture was like it had its eye around this branch that came up at maybe I don't know, I want to say like a 60-degree angle, and it was hiding the back of it, the remainder of its left side of its face, and it was holding onto this branch with its left arm in like an L, and it was just huge. I explained to you yesterday, Wes, to me, it looked like a refrigerator and a half standing on 2 bar stools, big, tall bar stools, huge. And I just remember it, as soon as I screamed, it's hard to put everything in the time frame in which it was happening, because in my mind it was happening fast, but at the time it was happening very slowly and fast, I guess, at the same time. But I remember it snapping off the branch, and that was absolutely terrifying. And as soon as he snapped the branch off, he fired off this, I keep saying he because, like I said with the other one, it was definitely a male. No two ways about that. And it just fired off this sonic boom. The way that I've never physically felt sound like this thing emitted. A roar is not the sound that it produced. Like I was saying yesterday, it was like a roar, a growl, and almost like a howl inside of it from the depths of hell. And it just hit me. And I remember screaming as it was happening, and it made me shut my eyes. I remember it shutting my eyes, and then it started coming forward really, really fast. And I remember blacking out because I can't account for how I got in the car. I don't know how I got in the car. I thought long and hard about it on a couple of occasions. And I don't know how I got back in my vehicle. But I got back in, and I remember when I was shutting the door, he was really close, and he threw something, hit the front end of my car, and I don't know what he threw. And I remember you're asking me if it was the branch or whatever, but I don't know. And I remember this look on its face, like some sick, sadistic look of almost enjoyment, but almost he meant business at the same time. Like he was, I don't know how to explain it. I want to say he was smiling. If it could be smiling, his mouth is kind of the thing that sticks in my head more than any other part of it. His mouth is this strange, almost grin, and is sunken in. I don't even know. They were red. His eyes, and I remember that being really fast because I remember I went into second gear and tried to drive with my e-brake on. I got my e-brake off and I slid down the hill. I got on the road and I was making this noise. I remember I was having difficulty with it, and I was, I don't know how else to say it to you, but I was like heaving. And I've never, I don't know how, I remember thinking that I need to call 911, and that being part of the panic because it's a no service area. It says no service on your phone when you get on the road, when you get off the freeway. If you get into a car wreck or anything on this, even the road, to get to the road to where I was, you're in trouble.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was two epic tales from the archives of Sasquatch Chronicles and their new shorts videos that are available on youtube.com/Sasquatch Chronicles. You can go check out a whole bunch of them. There's an entire playlist that he's developing over there from these videos. So, Sheldon, what do you think of that one?
Wow. That's terrifying. Yeah. I mean, that's the only word that adequately describes it. That sounds absolutely terrifying. It made me think. If you don't mind me running a few things by you.
By all means.
I wonder, one common thing, well, at least the ones I remember. But it's so commonly reported that, I don't know if it's the scream that does it or seeing it that does it, but a lot of these encounters that I remember, at least, they always black out. Everyone's always blacking out. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if it's something that they do, or because you're seeing something that is out of your
paradigm.
Out of your paradigm, I guess, that it causes your brain to shut down because you can't comprehend it, in a sense. Or if it's something to do with what they can do, or I don't know. But it makes me think, because that's a common occurrence for the ones I remember.
So there's a lot of people that believe that Bigfoot can utilize something called infrasound, where they can generate subsonic waves with sound. That and it's documented in the animal kingdom. Elephants do it, tigers do it before they go after their prey. They'll hit them with infrasound, and it really kind of screws them up, discombobulates them, and makes
really.
So it could be that. It could also be shock, like you say. You're confronted suddenly with the reality of something that's not supposed to exist, and so I mean, it could just be shock. It could be infrasound. It could be both. The one thing that seems to be really common when people hear their calls is the power of their calls. Like they can hear them from a mile or so away in the woods. And, usually the woods are pretty good about, sucking up all the sound, because there's all these barriers to sound waves with trees and soft plants and, in the soil and so many things that should be acoustically absorbent. But still, these vocalizations are so powerful. They're traveling down entire canyons. And so it is possible that if it's not infrasound, then it's just, some other form of impact of their vocal power. Everybody knows that there are singers that can shatter glass by hitting that high C. They can get that resonance happening so much with that note, if they can sustain it, that it'll shatter. And that's there's no mystery about that. That's just what happens. So what other notes, if they were generated at enough force, could have an effect on us? We are physical beings. We're mostly water and nerves and stuff. And I'm sure if you're hit with the military, police officers, police forces develop acoustic weaponry, and that's supposed to subdue people just because they're getting hammered by sound. So it's anybody's guess which one of it is. Maybe it's all of it. Maybe it's some of it. Maybe it's none of it. Maybe it's something else entirely. But there's many stories, as you say, that people are hearing these things. And, again, that go back to the Claire story. She got yelled at by this big alpha male. And the next thing she knows, she woke up by her car that was like 100 yards away. And she's got scratches and stuff on her from being dragged. So,
for sure.
Yeah. And it's very, very profound. Whatever these things are, they may be human-like, but they're definitely not the same thing we are.
Even that description, like you said, that I just keeps repeating in my head, is a refrigerator and a half with 2 bar stools is how big it was. Like, that's just nuts to me.
Yeah. Would that acoustic whatever the use be what happens when it all goes quiet? I don't know. I've wondered that same thing, Ghost Magnet, because I've witnessed the woods going just dead, just from even crickets suddenly shutting the hell up. And to me, that's just beyond reason, because how the hell does a cricket know? But they know. They might be using some kind of subsonic frequency that just makes everything in the forest go dead quiet. Like there's the other part too, where people just suddenly feel like everything changes and they just feel this impending doom. People talk about that, and then the forest goes quiet. So maybe that's a projection of some kind. Maybe it's a psychic projection. Maybe it's a sonic projection of sound that causes us to have that dread and fear and all of that. But whatever the case is, it's pretty potent. It's pretty powerful, and it does come up, as you mentioned. So this stuff is no joke.
It really sounded like, from the guy's story that was just talking, I forgot his name or didn't hear it or missed it, but it sounds like they were just the couple, at least 2, that were just toying with him. Like, the smiling and the sadistic, well, as he said, the sadistic look that he seemed to see from their faces or from his face. It just seems like it was like these 2 buddy Bigfoot's like, hey, watch this.
Yeah, it could be. Now, the other thing that I think would be dangerous, though, is to anthropomorphize these things and say, well, it was smiling. Well, we don't know. It just made its mouth wide, Like, if you ever see like a chimpanzee smiling, that's a big, big warning sign. That means they're incredibly agitated and going to get dangerous. So if you see a chimp smiling, he's not like having a joke. He's about to rip your face off,
Oh, true.
So we don't know that they indeed smile like we smile, or that it means the same things. It could be more of a primate response. It could be, it could be a humanistic response. We just don't know. But it's a lot of things to unpack from these stories, and the discussions could go on for hours on each story alone, just because there's so much to understand and so much to try to make sense of. But I do think you're right. I do think that they were playing with them. I mean, it was just some kind of sick, twisted game, but to them it was a blast, And if you think about it, you live in the forest and you're surrounded by sticks. It's like you're probably going to need some kind of entertainment before you go absolutely bonkers. But anyway, I just think it's a fascinating discussion.
Yeah, it is.
Well, thank you, Naysay. I appreciate the way you resonate as well, brother. But yeah, that's basically going to be our show tonight, folks. I hope you guys enjoyed that. This is our Sunday show. So that means Monday, Tuesday will be no live shows, but the new podcast will be hitting the waves, the wavelengths of the interwebs tonight. So I hope you'll check that out. And it's a couple interviews that I did. One with Veronica, a retired nurse, that told me some of the spooky experiences she's had with some ghostly stuff. And then I also talked to Gabe. But first I got an email from Gabe, and then it was the one where I just happened to be sitting at the desk and saw the phone line light up, and I was like, wait. And so I just answered it, and it was Gabe. He said, I emailed you, but I thought of something else, so I wanted to call in. He said, are you live now? I said, no, but do you mind if I record this? He said, yeah. So that's on the podcast as well. So that'll be coming out tonight. So watch for it. But
also, just to talk, if anybody missed the first story, I personally would highly recommend going back and listening to it. It's as of this episode is my favorite Bigfoot story I've ever heard.
Yeah,
so far
it's pretty incredible. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, all of these are really fantastic, and it's really neat because it's kind of like you know how some bands, after they've been playing music for 15 years, 10 years, then they'll have a best of compilation. That's what these shorts are. These are like Sasquatch Chronicles greatest hits. And so there's going to be plenty more. There's already more. He released several today as well. So, but yeah, I hope you guys, if I'll certainly keep showcasing them as I'm allowed. But definitely go over to Sasquatch Chronicles YouTube page, get subscribed, and check him out there. He has a whole playlist of these things over there. So check it out. But Sheldon, anything in closing?
Absolutely. If any of you guys want to stay more in touch with us or the community in general, you can join our Discord right here. Going to send the link right in the chat, and I'll be in there. I'm usually in there all night, but if you guys want to talk, chat, any questions about what you heard tonight or anything in the future, feel free to ask away.
And get involved. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude our Sunday show. Hope you had a good time. Thank you all for being here. And remember, we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Especially now. We need a lot more nice in this world.
Yes.
Be good to each other, help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. And I will see you guys on Wednesday night. Presumably Don will be here. He was unfortunately had to miss this last weekend's shows. He just got strapped at work and had to cover. So he was wanted me to express to all of you that he misses being here, but he should be back on Wednesday. So we'll tear it up then. But anyway, guys, love you. Have a great night. Have a happy, fantastic Monday, and we'll get back at it as soon as we can. Sending you my love.
Always.
Always. All right. Good night.
Good night.